want to make a stepping stone, but you aren't sure if you should make the substrate yourself or buy one ready-made. Then today's video is for you. We'll talk about the pros and cons of pouring your own substrate compared to buying one ready-made. By the end of this video, you'll know which choice will work for you. Let's get to it. Welcome back, and if you're new here, my name is Julie, and on this channel we talk about tips, tricks, tools, adhesives, materials, and specific mosaic projects, all to shorten your learning curve when it comes to creating mosaic art. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please consider subscribing. It's that time of year when we're all a little more focused and excited about spending more time in our outdoor spaces. For some, that means barbecues and patio gatherings and being out in the garden, and for others, that means making art for those special places. Stepping stones are practical, and when you add mosaic to them, they become practical works of art. Sometimes their purpose is to level out uneven ground, and sometimes they're used as a guided path. But sometimes their purpose is to bring color, design, and interest to an outdoor space. Pouring your own substrate and adding mosaic to it may sound simple enough, but before you jump in, there are a few things you want to keep in mind. On this channel, we've talked about how to pour a stepping stone with a step-by-step tutorial. We've also talked about how to mosaic a stepping stone, whether it was on mosaic mesh or directly onto the substrate. So I'll include a link to that playlist down below in the description so you can check it out. You can access this information if you're on your desktop computer by clicking Show More under the video description. And if you're on your tablet or smartphone, you can click the down arrow to the right of the video title. Keep in mind there's no straightforward, clear-cut answer as to which option is best. You're going to need to decide for yourself, and that's going to depend on your time and your money and your design and other factors. So in today's video, we'll talk about the pros and the cons of pouring your own stepping stone compared to buying one that's ready-made. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. There are lots of things to think about when wanting to create a stepping stone, and we'll get to that full list in a minute. But before you get too far into creating your dream garden art, there is one thing that needs to be at the top of your list when putting all of this together, and that is your stepping stone design. Now, I'm not talking about the nitty-gritty, what colors and materials are you going to be using. I'm talking about the overall design, or the shape of your design, the vibe, the outline of your design. For example, some designs may look great on a circle substrate, but not so good on a square or rectangular substrate, or vice versa. So regardless of whether you're going to pour your own substrate or not, you first want to think about your design and what shape substrate you think would look best. And now that you've thought about your design and what shape options might work for you, it's time to turn your attention to whether you'll pour your own substrate or buy one ready-made at your local hardware store, garden center, or order it online. So let's first talk about pouring your own stepping stone. Pouring your own stepping stone and starting from scratch presents a lot of options. Since we're positive people around here, let's start with the positive points. The biggest benefit of pouring your own substrate is that you can pour and have whatever shape stepping stone you want. There are so many stepping stone molds out there. You have my permission to step away from the aluminum disposable pie pan that we all grew up making stepping stones in and step into the new world of reusable, awesome stepping stone molds. These molds have become quite sophisticated and incredibly detailed, and your mosaic work onto some of these little details that are built into the mold will just accentuate and make things pop. And if you can't find the mold that you want in the marketplace, there are so many ways to make your own. Another benefit to pouring your own substrate is that you can make it as thick or as thin as you want. you're able to control all of that. Also, if you pour your own substrate, you can color or tint your cement using oxides. This is especially helpful if your mosaic design will include the substrate showing. Having a mosaic design like this means the color of the cement will play a much bigger role in the overall design of your stepping stone. So for instance, I created this stained glass mosaic stepping stone by putting the glass that I cut in the bottom of the stepping stone mold first, before I poured the cement over it. And as you can see, the cement is a big part of the overall end result of the stepping stone. And of course, there are some negatives to pouring your own stepping stone substrate. The first being it can be expensive. You aren't just buying a mold and cement. You also need a bucket and a trowel and wire mesh and a releasing agent and a dust mask, eyewear, etc. And some of those molds are crazy expensive. Another negative to pouring your own substrate is that it's messy. The material that you use and pour into the mold is cement. And I can't candy coat the mess that cement makes. There's no doubt about it, working with cement is messy, just like when you work with grout or cement-based adhesive. But in the case of a stepping stone, you're most likely mixing up more of it than you would if you were mixing up grout or cement-based adhesive for a much smaller project. It's best to mix cement outdoors because it's incredibly dusty, and you'll also need to wear a dust mask and protective eyewear. And you'll also need a place outside to clean out the stepping stone mold once you've released your stepping stone substrate. And not only is cement messy and dusty, but it's also heavy too. Another negative to pouring your own stepping stone mold is that it takes time for the cement to fully cure. So you can pull out your stepping stone from the mold after a few days, but it needs to fully cure before you add your mosaic on top. So if you're wanting to tile a stepping stone and you're on a tight deadline, you might want to rethink which way you're going to go, because this is going to take time. Also, given that molds and cement can be expensive, plus it takes time for a substrate to fully cure, if you're wanting to create multiple stepping stones in the same shape, then this could make things not only cost prohibitive, but also it might take you a lot longer than you originally planned to finish your stepping stone project. I'll include a list down below in the description for all of the materials that I used in today's video in case you'd like to create a stepping stone of your own. Now let's move on to buying a ready-made substrate. So now that we've talked about the pros and cons of pouring your own substrate, let's talk about the pros and cons of buying a ready-made substrate. Now, ready-made substrates are available at your local hardware store, garden center, or you can even order them online. And the first positive that comes to mind is that there's no mess. You don't have to mix up the cement. It's already been done for you by the manufacturer. And so, yeah, awesome. Which means you don't have to buy the mold, the cement, the bucket, the trowel, the mesh, all of that sort of stuff. Everything has already been done for you. Just pick out the shape, take it home or order it, and you're ready to go. And this is another benefit, which is once you have your substrate in hand, you can immediately get to work with tiling. There's no waiting. And this is especially helpful if you're wanting to do multiple stepping stones to create a path or maybe give out as gifts. Ready-made stepping stones are cheaper for the most part if you're going to make one or a handful of them. And of course, there are a few negatives. The first being the manufactured ready-made stepping stone shapes are pretty basic. When I went to my local hardware store, I found squares and rectangles. You might be able to find a circle, but you're not going to find any sort of specialty shapes like a turtle or a heart or maybe a paw print or, I don't know, a star maybe. You're not going to be able to find any of those specialty shapes. Another negative is that you can't color or tint your cement. So if you think back to the butterfly that I made, the cement was a vital part mixed in with the design of the stained glass. So if your cement will be part of your overall stepping stone design, you'll want to think about that before you decide to buy ready-made or pour your own stepping stone. In addition to creating a list of everything that I used in today's video, I also have a bigger list over on my Amazon storefront, and there you'll find things like stepping stone molds, what you need to make a stepping stone, including some fun tesserae. So I'll include a link to that storefront down below for you as well. Am I crazy for wearing a hoodie when it is 78 degrees? That's not bad. We're having a stormy morning here in Miami, so whatever. I'm wearing a jacket. I'll regret it in about 5 minutes. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. I feel like my head is... We'll just wait a minute until my stomach is done growling, because I'm thinking about lunch. Oh! Or, I don't like that. I don't like how I said that. That was it. Keep that one. Love y'all. Thanks for being here. We will get together again soon. Yes, we will. Bye. If you're looking for more mosaic inspiration, you can check out one of these 2 videos. I'll see you soon. Bye.